So last month we didn't have a cooking class because we were out of town. We went up to Nebraska. But the month before that, we were talking about temperance. And I think you're an expert on this now. What's temperance?
Temperance.
Yeah.
Don't stuff yourself.
Yeah. Yes, it's
Self-control.
exactly right. So, but the actual definition that we would say is that it is abstaining from everything that is harmful, and moderation do that which is good, right? And it's important that you have to have both because a lot of times people would say the bad things we do in moderation, but that's not true. The bad things we abstain from. Uh, Sometimes we can say the bad things are drugs, right? Like the smoking or whatever the case may be, right? Alcohol. But there's actually foods that are not good for us either. And those are foods that we should abstain. Like we have junk food, right? And all these ultra processed foods. These are things we should be abstaining from, not doing in moderation, if that makes sense. The moderations are the things that are healthy, like water. Like you wouldn't want to drink 10 gallons of water a day, right? But water is very good for you. But you got to do that in moderation. You got to take in your daily limit of water. Likewise with fruits and vegetables, all this is in moderation, though they're very good for you. So that's our recap from what we've been talking about so far, and now we're going to talk about a remedy. One of the 8 laws of health, that it's free. You don't have to pay for it unless you want to, but you don't have to. It's free. It helps with your mood, and it helps lift depression, and it sharpens your mind. What do you think I'm talking about? Exercise. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that was really good. Yeah. Yeah. You can't put exercise in a pill. No, you can't. But yes, movement, exercise. And actually, if you look at the very beginning, I always like to refer to Genesis, right? When God made man and he placed them in a garden, right? So God placed Adam and Eve to work. So they're moving, they're exercise. Everyone who has a garden understands that to maintain a garden, it's hard work. Uh, by God's grace, they were living in the in the Garden of Eden. So over here, you need a pickaxe to break the ground, right? So they probably had a shovel that was it was like butter, just super easy, just taking all the dirt out. But nonetheless, it's still movement. They still had a job. They still had to exercise, right? Their exercise didn't require them to sweat, but it was necessary for them. Now, that's why I said that we can pay for it because a lot of times people pay for it by having a membership at the gym, right? But this gym idea actually is a newer concept that that just recently existed within the last, maybe 100 or 200 years or so. But the original gym, what was that?
Work.
It was work, yeah, hard work. Um, Again,
I remember he said he cursed the ground for our good.
yes. So he cursed the ground for our good. Yeah, and that's a great point. Actually, you can find that in Genesis chapter, Genesis chapter 3. Let's look at it right quick. Genesis chapter 3. We're going to read verse 19. It says, "In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto the ground. For out of it wast thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return." Now, this curse, a lot of times people think it's a bad thing. It is compared to the Garden of Eden, but that was their consequence in order. It was their consequence because they would now be banished from the Garden of Eden. And now the conditions weren't ideal. So when you're working on the garden, now it's going to make them sweat, right? Whereas in the Garden of Eden, everything was perfect. And when they're working, it didn't really make them sweat, but they were still moving.
Another thing to the idleness, they didn't have time to be idle and get into mischief.
Yes, yeah. Idle, meaning they were always doing something. Their minds were always occupied. Yes. So that was part of God's original plan. Now, going back to the curse, like you were saying, you know, a lot of times people will say that the curse is a bad thing, but actually, when we are now no longer in the Garden of Eden environment, the sweat will be good for us, because this would be a blessing if we were to continue to eat and eat and eat without breaking forth a sweat. That's going to cause disease. Yes. So God has given us the remedy for us to live long, right? And so it's hi. So now, not only that, but if you just think about movement for a second, um, you know, I always think about Moses and Abraham and all these people who lived way over 100 years old. And the way that the Bible describes them is that they lived over 100 years old and they didn't have a single health condition. Whereas by the time we hit 20, 30, 40s, we have all these health conditions, right? But these were people way over 100 and they were perfectly fine. And actually, their cause of death was actually old age. They didn't have a heart attack when they died. They just closed their eyes.
And Moses, right? He just to go up there and die.
Exactly.
Your time is finished.
That's right.
Even though he climbed a mountain and to die.
That's a very good point. Yes, Moses was 120 years old when he climbed up the mountain when God, 120. He was 120 years old when God told him to climb up that mountain and go up there and go to sleep.
Yeah. To look over and see the problem, saying, okay, it's done. All right, got it.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, I'm very fascinated with that. And so that you see that they're very strong. And so what was the difference between them and now? The difference is that they were always outside, right? They were always working. They were always exercising. If you think about since you mentioned Moses, they were in the wilderness for 40 years. They dwelled in tents, and they were getting a lot of fresh air. But most importantly, when they were wandering, that's walking, right? Walking. They actually walked from country to country. And we have a hard time walking to our mailbox without having to get a car or something, or go to the block and you want to get the car, or you know what I mean? The point is that they're walking to countries. And so we see how feeble we are.
Well, and another thing, they also they kept close to God's strip, to the Word of God. They kept close to that. And that was also a
yes. Trusting in God is part of the 8 laws of health, and that's very important too. Yes. Now, what I like to give an analogy in terms of exercise. If you normally see a person who has a cast because they broke their arm, right? When they break their arm, say that they're in a cast for 2 months, 3 months. The other arm gets to move around whenever it wants. At the end of the 3 months, they take out the cast. If you ever look at the arm side by side, it is skeleton. There's barely any flesh. It's gotten so small. It's about half the size of the other arm. And that's how it is. And so when we are inactive, that's what's happening to our bodies from a microscopic point of view as well. Because you have all these organs, our hearts, our lungs, our kidneys, our liver, whatever organs we have, they are necessary it's necessary to have movement in order to have all these organs functioning. So that's why, like, if we go on a digestion walk, that's why everything in your stomach starts working, and you're going to want to use the bathroom, right, after you go for a walk. Or maybe it helps digest your food a little bit better, because all the organs require movement. And so likewise, is if we are inactive, just like that arm, that's how your organs will look like. Very feeble. And so that's why we have heart disease and all these other conditions, because we're not using it. We're decaying. And so the remedy that God has given us to prevent the decay is the sweat of thy brow. It's exercise. So that's what God is calling us to do today. Now, a lot of us are brain workers. brain workers or people who have sedentary lifestyles. That's a big word. But these are people who are just, uh, they're not working hard. Basically, they're sitting down all day, right? Or maybe they might move around, but for the most part, they're not a construction worker where they are sweating to work, right? Where they're always moving around. And these are people who, people with the sedentary lifestyle, they're like that for 8 hours a day, or even more. Sometimes people just have sedentary lifestyles, not because of their work, but that's just who they are. They like to sit down and watch TV and play video games. And so they spend all this time decaying. That's what it is. Their body's decaying, their brain is decaying. And that's not how God made man. God made man for movement. But even in our jobs where we do have sedentary lifestyles, there's ways to still be active in the office space. For instance, I had two soldiers in my company once who were working really hard on the computer because I gave them a task. And by the time it was 2 p.m., both of them were just, you can see that they're very off. They were very unhappy. And I say, hey, what's going on? And they say, oh, sir, I just have a large headache. I said, oh, okay, well, but maybe we should go for a walk. I said, oh, no, sir, it's okay. I really don't want to go outside. I have a headache. And then that's when I put my commander hat on and I said, no, I'm commanding you. We are going for a walk. It's not a suggestion at this point, right? And there's like, all right, sir. And they were getting ready. And so what ended up happening is that we went a walk for a 30-minute walk or just around the building. We went outside. And as we were walking, they were talking, they're a little bit more cheerful. And by the end of the 30 minutes of walking, they sat back down and it was like, wait, I don't have a headache anymore. It's like, I know, because you've been sitting down all day. All the blood kept going to your brain, and that's why you got a headache. See, the brain is very sensitive. Not just sensitive, but it's very, it's a very delicate organ, just like the heart and the stomach. These are very delicate organs, right? And so when there's too much blood going to the brain, it makes you feel very exhausted and very tired. You can be sitting down all day and working for 8 to 10 hours and you feel like a train wreck. You just feel like it was like a very hard day. And you didn't do anything besides sitting down. What's the reason behind that? Because there's too much blood going to the brain and it makes you feel as if you are working really hard, but your body's decaying. And so that's why it does that. So ways to get around that is every time you got breaks, take those opportunities to walk, 15, 30 minutes at a time. Make sure the blood is going now, instead of to your brain, to your hands and your feet. A lot of times people have very cold hands and very cold feet because they're just not moving around. The blood flow doesn't circulate correctly. And so you don't want your blood to be pooling on in one part of the body. You want it to freely circulate. So if we have cold hands and cold feet, we got to make sure that we're moving around. So some of the benefits of exercising, I mentioned a little bit in the very beginning of the presentation, but it protects the heart by lowering your blood pressure. So if you had high blood pressure, exercising is the best thing for you. And even if you have low blood pressure, actually, it's very good for you to exercise. It strengthens your bones. So people who have osteoporosis or all sorts of arthritis, exercise is actually the best remedy for arthritis, alongside with nutrition, of course.
So, what's it called? What's that thing you jump on?
The rebounder.
You think that's a good?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Very good.
But you got to do it to where you break sweat. You're not doing it just to have fun, right? Yeah.
So I guess I have to put that thing back on. It's like, hold on.
Yep, that's right. Yes.
Start at a pace you can handle and just keep moving.
Yes. So going back to the arthritis aspect, a lot of people who with arthritis don't want to exercise because it hurts them. But what also hurts is not doing anything too. So if you're going to be in pain, you might as well just suffer just a little bit more and so that way you have alleviation of the arthritis. A lot of people don't want to do anything because of pain. If you just work through it, you know,
There's
it'll
a
help them.
saying,
Go ahead.
there's a saying, no gain, no pain.
No gain, no pain. That's right. Yeah. So if you want to overcome your arthritis, it's gonna hurt, right? But what's also gonna hurt is not doing anything. Yeah. Um, I'll also say it was a natural antidepressant. There's been countless times where, by God's grace, um, God will throw a trial at me, um, typically through somebody being very, I don't know, they say something very discouraging towards me, whether it be like through text or phone, or maybe something just major happened in my life, like family member passed away or whatever the case may be. And there have been some times in my life where I was notified of these things while I was exercising, and for whatever reason, it didn't strike me as it didn't put me in deep grief, because the exercise is what helps to prevent that deep depression that people get to when there's all these major life events that occur. So that's why it's very important to make sure that we exercise. It helps us with our mood. Yes, and actually, um, we're called to be Christians, right? We're God wants us to have a cheerful countenance. And so if we're not exercising, we're losing out on the remedy that's going to help you to have a cheerful countenance. Yeah. And lastly, it aids in the digestion. Yes, it helps the stomach. So you to use the bathroom, um, and also to help digest your food better. And so what's the best exercise? So I did mention a little bit, it was the gardening, but the best exercise really is walking. It's very gentle on the knees. Anyone can walk for the most part. Um, and a lot of times people get discouraged because they have these very difficult exercises that they have to do, and they stop exercising. So they no longer gain this habit. But it's very easy to gain the habit of walking because it's not strenuous, and you can do it every day. And the next day you might be a little sore, but you can still walk. And so walking is very important. So because walking really isn't that strenuous, you should do it for longer periods of time. Um, it is recommended to do it at least an hour a day, if possible. You could always fit it in between. It doesn't have to be all at once, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. And if you don't have an hour, what I normally do is I try to combine certain things together. Like for instance, I wake up early because I know I have to pray and read the Bible and do all these things. So what I can do, so I can get my walk, is I know I can walk and I can pray at the same time. So I do a prayer walk, and I find it to be more beneficial because first thing in the morning when I wake up, I don't really want to pray. I don't have that much. I sometimes when I pray, I end up going back to sleep. Um, it's just not. I just think it's a very weak prayer. Whenever I just first wake up, go on my knees. I mean, we should be doing that, right? But I find it much better if I just wake up, go outside, go for a walk, and pray. Now the blood's circulating, and now my thoughts are a lot more clear. And so now when I'm praying, it's so much more powerful. And I'm just, and so I guess what I'm saying is, if you don't have the time, you could always make time and combine things together. So where I said the prayer walk, right? But there are many other things you can do while walking as well. Like if you have a conference call, where it doesn't really necessarily require a computer per se, but you just need your phone, you can have that conference call and walk. What's stopping you from doing that? Yes, yes. So the point is that there are many ways to get after it. An hour is really not that hard, especially if you start combining it with things together. The other one that I like to do is interval training. These are things that I like to do in my office because I know that I can't really just take out a large period of time while I'm at work. And while I'm sitting at the desk computer, I'm there for 8 hours. So what I normally like to do is like every maybe around the halfway mark, right before I eat at lunch, I'll do a 15-minute workout or so. You can do it 7 minutes, really varies. But what the purpose is just to break the sweat, right? So what I normally do is I have an app called Seven, but you don't have to have that. You just have to have a timer where you just exercise for 30 seconds at a time and take a 10-second break. 30-second exercise, 10-second break. 30-second exercise, 10-second break. You keep doing that until you start breaking a sweat, right? So for me, I have various exercises. So one of the exercises would be a push-up. The next exercise would be a squat. The next exercise is a plank. The next burpees. I have all these exercises that I do within that 30-second time period. But it just really depends on what your physical condition is, what you could actually do. Some people are just running in place, but you can vary it up. So these high interval trainings is something that you can do with very limited time that helps with the blood flow, because if I don't do it, my head, I'm going to get a massive headache by the end of the day. And then I'm not going to be cheerful. I come back to home with my family, and then it's very sad that they get the worst of me, where they should be getting the best of me when I get home. I'm not going to be there for my children. I just want to go to sleep because I just felt like I got hit by a train. So that's why exercising is very important. And so with that being said, if you can just take a second and just think about your schedule, how can you fit exercise in your schedule on a daily basis? It's just rhetorical, but how can you fit an hour of walking a day? Just think about it.
I think it's a good practice to walk to places instead of driving.
Yeah.
Also digestion walk.
My wife said that it's good to walk to places instead of driving, especially if there are places where you can go that, just a little bit far, it's 2 miles away. You normally just drive it, but why not just walk it? What's stopping you? Right. Sister Ruby also said digestion walk, which is 15 minutes a day or so after eating. That's just a part of it, but we should, as much as possible, try to get that 1 hour a day. So just think about that. And that's your challenge that you can take before the Lord. These are principles that are actually designed to help us to be better Christians, because Paul, they were spreading the gospel. It was because of him that the gospel went out to every creature on the earth. And he went everywhere on foot. And Jesus too. Jesus went everywhere on foot. And if we can't go anywhere on foot, then how are we going to spread the gospel to the whole world? So that's why God has given us these 8 laws of health, so that we can be strengthened physically, mentally, and spiritually. Well, with that being said, we will start our cooking demonstration. I think I'm going to do the milk and the waffles first, and then my wife is going to demonstrate the tofu scrambled. Okay. Well, it looks like it's raining, but by God's grace, we are in the tents, right? So God always provides. Well, nonetheless, we're going to demonstrate breakfast. So what we normally do for every morning, we like to eat waffles, just because it fills us up a little bit better. It's very yummy, it's healthy, and we do it with very limited ingredients. We don't buy like the flours that you normally get, like the pancake batters or any of that. We try to make our own ingredients. So before we make the waffles, normally we like to make a milk. And you can have all sorts of milks. You can have a sunflower seed milk. You can have a cashew milk. You can have a pumpkin seed milk. You can have a sesame seed milk, walnut milk. You can have all these options, and they're actually really good for you. And depending on what kind of health condition, certain milks might be better for you, especially the pumpkin seeds is very high in zinc. Whereas if you have prostate issues, the zinc is very good for you. So you're going to want more of the pumpkin seed, right? But the sunflower seeds is a little bit more bitter, but it has all the necessary nutrients that you need. And so I love using sunflowers. But for today, just for the purposes of taste, we're going to use cashew milk, because I do believe that cashew milk is probably the better tasting, and it actually tastes more like milk than all the other seed milks or nut milks. So now we're going to make the cashew milk.
castle milk?
Yep. Can you grab the water, Chaim?
This one?
Yep. Well, this one right here.
This one?
Yep.
It's okay.
You need help? We're gonna put it in the blender. So here it says we need 5 cups. 5 cups of water.
This one?
Yeah, we need a little bit more.
This one? I want to do it.
Just a little bit, not all of it. There you go. 5 cups.
5 cups?
Yeah. So we got our 5 cups of water. And now this is where you add in the seed or the nut. And it's the same recipe for all of them. It's 5 cups of water and 5 cups of, 5 cups of water and 1 cup of seed or nuts. So that's it. And that's all you need really. But we're just gonna add dates for taste. Just to make it more sweet. Normally you can, well, I like using the dates. Is this pitted? Normally I like using the dates because the dates is very, very sweet, but it also has lots of fiber. So it's not gonna spike up your blood sugar levels if you're diabetic. But of course, everything in moderation, right?
Dang it.
So here I am putting 4 dates. And then for the sake of this, you can use a regular blender, but I find it to be much more helpful to have a high-speed blender like a Vitamix.
I have a bundle.
Alrighty, so now we're almost done. Now we just got to add the actual, the nut or the seeds. So today we're going with the cashews.
I can do it one more time.
Okay, we got to do it faster. Yeah, like that.
Is that a cup?
Yep. So that's a whole cup. So we put we soaked it first. It's actually more bioavailable to soak your seeds or your nuts first. It helps it to digest better as well. So that way it's not as painful to the stomach and very easy to digest. And so that's it. Here's your milk. So now we're just gonna blend. Alrighty. So now this is your milk. So I'm just going to show. And honestly, it just looks like milk. There you go.
Can I taste it?
Yeah, you can taste it.
Okay. Now can I?
I'm giving you one right now. Right here. You can taste it.
I could eat cornflakes off of it.
You said it tastes like milk?
Did you ever put the salt in it?
Oh no, I didn't add salt. Sorry. But it's actually not necessary. You only use it to preserve. Like if you're gonna put it for a long periods of time, that's where you use the salt.
Okay.
But yes.
Other than that, it's really good.
The waffles?
So I'm just gonna. I don't need so much milk, right? I only need 3 cups of milk. So I'm just gonna take some of this extra out. What you can do with the extra milk, of course, you can make smoothies with it, or like how you were saying, cornflakes. Eat cornflakes with it. Whatever the case. It tastes pretty good, huh? Oh. All right. So here's our 3 cups of milk.
Now can you drink it?
Oh, I already know what it tastes like. So now, let's look at the waffles. So, waffles, just like how I was saying, with the milk, you can have all these different kinds of seeds or nuts. But for the waffles, you can have different kinds of grain. So today we're going to be demonstrating an oat waffle.
Oat waffle.
Yes. But you can do different kinds of grains. You can do millet, which I really like, especially for diabetics, because millet is a seed and it doesn't really spike the blood sugar levels that much. Oats is pretty decent, but I like millet better. Plus, I like the taste of millet better too. But with oats, you don't have to soak because it's rolled already. For the millet, or so you can do millet. You can have we like to have all sorts of. Wait, what are some of the other waffles we make? The millet, the oats, buckwheat waffles. That's right, and
You could even do
ein- cornmeal. We did the cornmeal one. We did an einkorn one as well, so it's more like a wheat one. So and so the point is that it's the same recipe. So it's just 3 cups of the grain and then 3 cups of the milk.
Oh, so equal it out.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. We also make quinoa waffles. So yeah, like how my wife was saying, baking soda and baking powder can really irritate the stomach, and it's not really something that we find to be necessary. So we just don't use it at all, and that's why we make our own, because the powders that you buy from the store tend to have those things. So, nonetheless, now we're gonna put the grain into the milk. So this will be our batter. So we have the 3 cups of milk and 3 cups of, let's not do that please, but you can put the salt in. And now we got to put a pinch of salt just for taste. I don't know where that's at. No, thank you.
Now can I do it?
Of course.
Is that a tablespoon or less?
It's just a pinch. It's just a pinch.
Okay, good.
It's
So
okay,
be-
Daddy.
So now you can add a sweetener, but because we sweetened the milk already with the dates, if you didn't have the sweetened milk, then that's where you put the dates in here.
That was the ditch.
We already used it. And now that is it. And now we just blend. All the way. All the way, all the way. Alrighty. So this is your batter. No, you don't want to blend that long because the oats especially, they get very thick. And so right now it's a little bit more on the runny side, but if I pour it on here, it's gonna just swell up, right? And I really like that because it makes a really good batter. So now we're going to actually put our batter in the waffle maker. And so I already have my waffle maker turned on. You can come around if you want to see. Oh, yeah. No.
What kind of machine is that?
We got 2 waffle makers just for the sake of time. So some of you might get the square waffles, some of you might get the circle waffles.
Oh, and I like that. I like that, Mommy.
All right. And after you do that, it's just 8 minutes now.
8 minutes.
Yeah, but when I say 8 minutes, it's the waffle maker has to be hot. Yeah, if you start from cold, it's gonna get all sticky. You don't want that, and it's just an inconsistent time. So you really want it to be hot already. Well, I'm just gonna set the timer on for this, and now I'll just transition to my wife as she presents the tofu scramble.
And what I like to do first is I like to put the bell pepper or tomato, whatever you're using, you put that in first into the pan.
Bell pepper, whatever else.
And I put tomato in there too.
So my question is,
Uh-huh.
what do you use to?
Oh, these?
Yeah.
These were from Brother, what's his name? William. Brother William's garden. He brought bell pepper and tomato. So we wash them and then we cut them up.
This is a little small splash of water.
Yeah, but you don't have to do that unless you have a pan that has the sticks. Yeah. If your things stick to the pan, you want to add a splash of water. But if you have one like this where it doesn't stick, then you're fine. You don't have to do that. So we're gonna cut this up. This is our tofu. You would drain out the liquid out of the packaging because it's gonna come in a lot of liquid. But you want to drain that out, and then you put your tofu in there. You want to also squeeze out the liquid out of it over the sink, and then you put it on your pan. And basically, you would just crush it up. Yeah, we're gonna put seasonings in there. So now we do turmeric. So 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. You can put it on top. The next one is 1 teaspoon of cumin.
Cumin? That's not cumin. This is cumin.
Okay, and he has the cumin seeds here, but you could also use the ground cumin. Then 1 teaspoon of onion powder. And put it in there. We have 1 teaspoon of garlic. Salt to taste.
Salt to taste?
And I usually do 1 teaspoon if it's just 1 block of tofu. And then we have 1/2 teaspoon of thyme. Thank you. So then what you want to do is just keep crushing it up. It's going to turn yellow right now. You just got to keep mashing it up until you have like a egg-like consistency, because that's really what you're replacing the eggs.
What, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, this is right on time then.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Can you make it the night before?
you could. You could. Yeah,
You can show this video to Paula.
that's right.
She ain't gonna make it.
And then you could also add, I didn't add this ingredient in there, but you could also add the Indian black salt. And it gives it like that eggy flavor.
Indian black salt.
Yeah.
Where you get that from?
I think it's called namalak or something like that. What is it? Ala lamak? Okay, he knows what it's called. I can't hear him. Yeah, and the tomatoes and bell pepper really give it a lot of flavor too. And usually we also use a potato masher.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And you just, just squeeze it down and it makes it easier. It also makes it more crumbly.
Hi. Hi.
But you can use what you have.
Hi.
And you just keep it at a medium heat like this. And just keep crushing it up.
The waffles are done.
I think the waffles are almost done. We gotta look at the timer. They're smelling really good.
And the same egg over this.
Oh yeah.
Oh no. Thanks.
Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day. Gonna make sure we incorporate all the
Definitely go get these.
flavors in there.
I'm gonna start to get these sunflower seeds and these pumpkin seeds. Maybe
Yeah.
cashews on the way home.
We already have
And
cashews.
tofu is really good for you because it has lots of protein. It also has minerals like calcium.
I like tofu.
So it's a really good replacement.
I like tofu too.
Yeah.
No, see, I don't need that.
Mama, I like tofu too. Mama, I
Oh,
like
but that already.
Mama,
Uh-huh.
Huh?
I like tofu too.
You like tofu too?
Yeah,
Even Rami likes tofu.
I like tofu.
So you estrogen sensitive.
I like
That's what
tofu.
it's called.
Yeah, well,
I like
it's
that.
the stupid food we eat.
Like that. Mama, like
Uh-huh.
that.
You gotta say what you eat, therefore you need
Like
to
that.
absorb the nutrition.
And as you can see, it's looking really yellow now.
Mhm.
It has a nice color. That's why the turmeric is so important. Gives it that nice color. See, it's turning yellow. You see that? Do you want to stir it around a little bit? So that's all we have for today, right? Just the tofu scramble. Can they see the tofu in there?
Yeah, you want to show the waffles?
Yeah. Are they ready now? So this is what our waffles look like. I can grab them.
Mama, the waffles ready.
Kind of hot. This is what they look like.
Oh,
Really
it's
good
kind of
stuff.
hot.
Put it on. You can put all kinds of things on top. You could put like butter or
Plant-based butter, right?
plant-based butter.
Mama, I
You
like
could
this.
put peanut butter or almond butter, whatever you like to
I
do.
like this.
You could make a berry jam.
A break down.
This is what the circle looks like.
Quiet, Ma. Let's be
And
quiet.
it, oh, I'm sorry, baby.
That's a perfect waffle.
Perfect waffle.
1 minute. Raise it up again.
Wrap it up quick so we can get them hot.
It's gonna be too hot to eat.
Funny about that.
Alrighty. You have any last words?
Me? No. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for those who are here for joining us in our cooking class today. And I hope that these foods help you with your health and your bodies and that you have a more abundant life.